Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either February 1st or 2nd, 2022, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's start off this video by taking a look back to 2 weeks ago. Now, I did not have a pick 2 weeks ago, but there were some interesting things that have been happening in comic books for over the past 2 weeks, so I wanted to take a moment to talk about it and mention it. In my video, I mentioned this book, Strange Academy, issue number 15. And I mentioned it because it is the first cover appearance of this character, Gaslamp. Now, at the time, I wasn't quite sure whether or not this book would be a big deal or not. It turned out to be a moderately big deal. Copies of it are selling for somewhere between $12 to $20, sometimes $10. So let's just call it about $12 to $15. I have two things I want to say about this. So, the first thing I want to say is what I recommend is that if you think there is a book that may pop on the secondary market, day one, day of release, when you wake up in the morning, check eBay. Check eBay sold listings. If you see that the book it has multiple sales, 2-3 times cover price, maybe you might consider going to your local comic shop when it opens and being there to scoop up copies before everyone else does. Because that's basically what happened here. This book sold out really fast all over the place. I'm a little bit fortunate. I'm on the West Coast, so I have a couple time zones worth of information. The comic book stores have been open a little bit for a couple hours before my comic book stores open. So there's a little bit more of a sense on how this is going to do on the secondary market. Anyways, I checked this book out the morning of. I saw multiple sales of it for $15. So I bought one copy. I bought 2 copies. And I bought 3 copies. I actually would have bought more, but by the time I got to other stores, they were sold out everywhere. So I'm happy with the 3 copies of this that I got. I haven't been reading Strange Academy. I actually might not even read this copy, this book. It's just something I'm going to hold on to. But something else I want to make is about cover buys. I was surprised that this book was as popular as it was. It's not the first cameo, it's not the first full appearance, it's the first cover appearance. And I am noticing that there is a trend toward cover buys. And it kind of makes sense to me. With the popularity of graded comics, something that's popular with me as well as many collectors, people are focusing a lot on covers. I know lots of people that buy tons of comic books every week, and they don't read a single one. So I think the cover is becoming more and more important as a trend in the comic book industry. So consider that when you're thinking about certain books that you might want to pick up. I want to mention this book. Now, not this cover, Venom, issue number 4. Now, this was a book that was on my pull list. It's the second cameo appearance of Bedlam. This A cover is not doing anything on the secondary market, even though it's the second cameo appearance of Bedlam. We'll see if Bedlam has any legs. We'll be talking about that more in a later video. But the B cover, this guy right here, is doing well on the secondary market. It's selling for, $9, $12, $10. Let's call that anywhere between $9 and $12 for a book that people otherwise don't care about it. So it's selling well because of this Amazing Spider-Man 300 homage, which has been homaged innumerable times. Which is why I didn't pick up this book. I thought I'm not interested in a ASM 300 homage, but lots of other people are, and so it did what's done over 2 times its value on the secondary market. So I just point that out as something to pay attention to. And I'm going to wrap up this section of this video by mentioning to you Hulk, issue number 3. Now, I hope this was I mentioned this last week, not even as one of my 6 picks. It was just mentioned as a book that I was pulling, and the only reason I didn't feature it more is because I had already featured issue number 1 and issue number 2 so heavily that I didn't feature issue number 3 particularly. But I had hoped that you had all gotten on board. That's my dog scratching itself. I had hoped that you had all gotten on board with Hulk by the time this issue had come around. So I really hope this was on your poll, because people are really, really excited about this issue. This issue is doing really well on the secondary market. It's selling for $15, $18, $20. It's doing quite well, and the B and C covers are doing very well as well. And it's because Donny Cates has introduced kind of what they're calling a null type villain for this Hulk comic. It's basically a dark manifestation of the Hulk. Basically, I would call it a cameo, but people are super, super excited about it, and so they jumped all over this, and this book has gotten extra value. I only have 1 copy, because by the time I kind of clued into what was going on, it once again sold out everywhere. So I hope that you guys are picking up Hulk. There's more of this type of stuff to come from Hulk, and it's also just been a really enjoyable read. So I highly recommend picking it up if you haven't already. I don't think the ship has completely sailed on the reading value and potential spec value of that book. Okay, so I just want to mention all those things because I think that there were some important points to make about looking at the current comic book trends. Let's go ahead and plow forward and take a look at the 6 books that I want to talk about that are coming out this week. As always, I will start with my 5 honorable mentions, and then I will conclude with my just one book pick of the week. The first honorable mention that I want to point out to you is New Masters, issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from Image Comics. Here's the description. Nigerian brothers Shobo and Shoff present New Masters, a groundbreaking blend of science fiction, adventure, drama, and vibrant Afrofuturism. In a striking vision of West Africa under the thumb of alien colonizers, a motley crew of outcasts find themselves caught up in a power struggle for control of an ancient artifact with immense power. Okay, so a lot of the elements of this are a little bit cliche. You could argue that there are no original ideas anymore for stories, and you probably wouldn't be wrong. But there's something about the combination of these ideas in this story, in this description for me, that kind of piqued my interest. So if you're looking for something new to try out, this might be an indie something new to consider picking up this week. The next book that I want to mention to you is Sabretooth, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here is the description. Down in a hole. Sabretooth went into the pit, sentenced to an eternity of torment. Sure, that sounds like hell, but maybe that's where he feels most at home. What's he been doing down there? What secret deal has changed his fate forever? And what if he's not alone? Award-winning novelist Victor Laval teams up with amazing artist Leonard Kirk to bring us the story of what lies beneath Krakoa. Okay, so I mentioned this book in part because I do have a natural affinity for the X-Men and X-Men stories, and I want there to be good X-Men stories out there. But basically, because of that, I like Sabretooth. Sabretooth is a great villain. He's kind of one-dimensional, but you could argue that so is Wolverine. And Wolverine is a fantastic hero. And Sabretooth has proven to be an excellent kind of yin to Wolverine's yang. My dog is just all over the place this morning. Do you want to come be in the video? No? All right, then stay over there and be quiet. Oh, okay, you do want to be in the video. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Okay, all right. She was just making so much noise off camera, we're going to go ahead and put her in the video. Say hi, Daisy. Okay, yeah, that's very cute. Okay, let's talk about Sabretooth, okay? So Sabretooth, like I said, he's a very excellent yin to Wolverine's yang. And so when you have such a great character as Wolverine, Sabretooth being great as well is pretty awesome. So as a fan of Wolverine, I had to at least shine a little light on this Sabretooth book. I think it could be pretty fun, could be pretty cool for the X-Men fan, and for people that just like villain stories, this could be a fun one to pick up. The next book I want to mention to you is Savage Spider-Man, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Spider-Man like you've never seen him before, right, Daisy? Right. Peter Parker finds himself at the middle of the biggest, most wide-ranging adventure he's ever had. And out of the gate, it has turned him into a savage beast. Forget everything you know about Spider-Man. All rules and regulations are out the door, and Peter Parker may never be the same. Okay, well, I was on the fence about this title for a while, even mentioning it, but then I saw all these covers that they're putting out for it, and there's a lot of them, and I'm just kind of like, well, maybe this is going to be cooler than I could think, you know? This one is really just kind of a gut, maybe it'll be worth checking out pick. I'm not quite sure. And I had to narrow down my list this week. I had about 10 when I started off that I wanted to potentially mention. But this one still made the cut, even though I'm kind of like, I'm not quite so sure. But like I said, the art on these covers is really, really cool. I think that it's something that maybe if you're a big Spider-Man fan, I would pick it up. I doubt there's going to be anything key in there or anything spec-wise of value. But if you're looking for a cool Spider-Man story, this might be something worth checking out this week. The next book I want to mention to you is, which one? Do you like this one, Daisy? Okay. Is Star Wars, Halcyon Legacy, issue number 1 of 5 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. The voyages of the greatest of all star cruisers. As the legendary Halcyon embarks on a momentous cruise, the ship heads toward a confrontation with the First Order. But what secret from the High Republic era can help the passengers and crew all these years later? And how did Jedi Nibs and Burry fend off a Nihil attack on one of the ship's first ever voyages? Okay, so there's a lot of new Star Wars books coming out right now. And the one thing I'm going to mention first, the one thing I always mention with these Star Wars books, is to keep an eye out for 4 words, Star Wars first appearances. We're getting a lot of them these days. And I even had there was like a Star Wars bake-off special that came out recently, and I was like, that's cute and fun, but I am not interested. And I heard that it's got some first appearances in it that people are like, you might want to pay attention to the first appearances. So you might want to go back and check out that Star Wars bake-off book, potentially. But this might be another one to consider checking out, especially because of this cover, of this A cover, which is a Wookiee with a lightsaber. And that really got my attention right there, right away. He looks really, really cool. It might be the first appearance of that character. I don't know for sure. But it does appear like there are going to be some first appearances in there. So you might consider it for that reason. And because of, Wookiee with a lightsaber. But in addition, I was looking at this and I was like, well, this seems like... The way it was kind of formatted, I was like, there seems to be something more here. And I did some research and I learned that there is something coming. It is like I can't even call it a ride. It's like an immersive experience that's going to be at Walt Disney World. It's basically this Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. It's a revolutionary 2-night experience where you are the hero. Especially you and whatever people you go with go into what is like a Star Cruiser. It's a hotel, essentially, themed to be like a Star Wars Star Cruiser. And you spend 2 nights on this Star Cruiser. And experiencing an immersive Star Wars experience. This is the first time I'd heard about this. This sounds pretty amazing. How much fun would that be to like eat, breathe, and sleep Star Wars for 2 nights and the whole experience that comes with it? You know, there's probably a whole like murder mystery type narrative that plays out, but then there's also things like taking lightsaber classes and a bunch of different activities, Star Wars related activities on this thing. So that sounds like fun, but it also sounds like this comic book is obviously a tie-in to that, and so I would think that they want to drive as much hype toward that experience, because it's probably not cheap and they probably really want people to do it. So I think they're going to drive as much hype as they possibly can toward it through things like this comic book. So there might be things, that might be all the more reason why there might be things in this comic book that are spec worthy, because they want to drive up excitement, drive up interest, drive up value in the comic book as a way of driving interest toward this immersive experience. So something to think about, a little addition and pay attention to with this book in particular this week. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book called Speed Republic. This is issue number 1 from Mad Cave Studios. Here's the description. In the future, Europe has united under one man, the autocrat. He rules the apocalyptic landscape from corporate monopolies with a vision of unity that is gospel to some but hollow to others. To distract the 99% from their poor and empty lives, they are given the opportunity to compete in the grand race, a marathon street race through Europe where only one driver can make it to the end and win a life of luxury. Our hero, Sebastian Valencia, enters with the hope that winning this race can make up for his wasted past. But along the way, he starts to question what kind of future he is actually buying into. For fans of Cannonball Run and The Hunger Games. All right, so I picked this book this week to mention to you because it's an indie book that sounds interesting. Sounds like something that might be worth picking up. It might be a low print run thing. But more than anything is that as I'm reading this description, I feel like I'm reading the description of a movie or a television show. And that always makes my ears pick up a little bit for the potential screen future of a comic book. Now, we all know that comic books, in some instances, more and more, are becoming testing grounds for potential ideas to make it to the television or the movie screens. This might be just another one of those instances where this is a movie pitch or a television pitch that someone had, and they were like, well, let's make it a comic book first and see how that does. But it does sound like a pretty awesome and entertaining movie or television show, so I had to flag it for you and put it on your radar. If you have that same kind of feeling about it, or if it just sounds interesting to you as a read in and of itself, I wanted to make sure I mentioned it to you this week. Okay, I think that is my 5 honorable mentions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, okay, so now that brings us to the one book that I would buy this week if I could buy just one book. Oh, but before I do that, quick side note, I'm going to tell you what I'm pulling this week, what I am definitely already going to be buying this week. I am buying Basilisk issue number 7, which I've really been enjoying. Batman 120, which is waning for me. I'm hanging on by a thread right now. And apparently Crossover issue number 11 and New Burn issue number 3, which I mentioned last week, have both been pushed to this week. So those are the 4 books that I will be buying this week. But I am also going to buy this next and last book, which is going to be my just one book pick of the week. And that book is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 88 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Who is Queen Goblin? For almost 60 years, Spider-Man has been defined by goblins, and Ben Reilly has a brand new one all his own. That's the description. That's all you need to know about this book. This is the one and only reason that this is my just one book pick for this week. It is the first full appearance of Queen Goblin. Queen Goblin appeared on the final page, full page, splash page of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 87. So if you can still, I don't know, I haven't checked yet actually to see if that's increased in value on the secondary market. I should have done that. But I picked it up because I had heard about it, and I picked up the book and I saw the final splash page there. So I was like, you know, I get 20% off my books. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. It's only about $3.50. Will the Queen Goblin have any future? I mean, I don't know. Will we be seeing like the Queen Goblin in a movie someday? I don't know. I mean, it seems like this is a bad guy that's going to be tied purposefully more to Ben Reilly than Peter Parker. Are we ever going to see Ben Reilly Spider-Man in a movie or something? I don't know. I mean, we still got to get Miles first. But are we ever going to get past Peter Parker and Miles all the way to Ben? I don't know. But what I do know, Spider-Man's going to be around as a character forever. So is there potential that we could get there someday, all the way to Ben Reilly? Yeah, there's definitely potential. And all the way to Ben Reilly and Queen Goblin? Sure. I can imagine that in a world of infinite possibilities. Sure, I could imagine that. So because there's a new character, a new villain in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 88, and it's a goblin, and we all know, like they said in this very short description, goblins have been important nemesis, either one that's correct, for Spider-Man. You got to pay attention. So since there's not really anything else that's super exciting for me this week, I had to make Amazing Spider-Man issue number 88 my just one book pick of the week because of Queen Goblin. All right, that is my video for this week. I hope you appreciated the list that I provided and the extra information that I also had in this video this week. I hope it didn't make the video too long. If you like these videos, likes are appreciated by me as always. If you haven't subscribed already, this is where I ask you to go ahead and do that and hit the notification bell. Thank you all, as always, for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Say bye, Daisy. Bye.